And even YouTube thinks we're live now. So this is good. Man. Say hello to the random... No, it's... I could type. Okay. I need to pause that because YouTube loves to have it going. Okay, so we're going to try this again. Okay, so, not a whole lot. Okay, all right. Okay, so and we're off. I just realized I made the map in this picture. I also realized that I can't remember the name of it. Well, okay, good times. So, welcome to very old map called Small Supreme Battlefield. And what it is basically a ripoff of Seaton's Clutch from Supreme Commander. It was one of the first preview maps that came out for Subcom. M9 as opposed to M8. Okay, and spawning down in the bottom left, we have Polar building a mechs. And in the top right, as as ARM, we have DosBoss in the orange. Having to reclaim a tree first in order to get that metal extractor. Not optimal. Is he doing this on purpose? I'm not sure he realized what he's doing, because he actually could have put that on the edge of the radius and not had to reclaim the tree. So that's going to put him behind, but on the other hand, this is a ship map. I don't really think it's going to matter that much, because it's probably going to be a decently long while before these guys actually even get remotely close to one another. So on the bright side, Shadows are actually working on this map. For some reason, they refuse to work on the map. Okay. And basically, we just have a bunch of mechs building. Okay, Polar's going for K-bots. Perhaps for land defense, either that or maybe he plans on dropping on the other side of the map. Or maybe he just wants the constructor. That would be my guess. He probably just wants to build some Necros. I imagine that's probably the first thing that's going to come out of this. Necros, so that way he can build all over the island. Actually, would that count as a peninsula? Anyway. Okay, so we've still got Econ coming out of DosBoss. More and more Econ coming out of Polar. Now he finally gets his factory going. Looks like it's going to be Pyros. Okay, so is he... I honestly don't know why yet he is building Pyros, so we're gonna see. But I'm guessing that he's either planning on dropping them on the other side of the map, or burning down trees, or something I haven't figured out yet. DosBoss, still no factory out of him. Oh, it does look like he's queued up a ship factory. That looks very warped. And okay. So more eco coming out of Polar. Just tons and tons of eco. Now, it should be mentioned that there are tons of trees on this map, and so they will provide with a good amount of energy. So, I mean, technically you could go a little bit less on the energy production, but you've got plenty of time. You might as well. I'm not 100% sure why he hasn't put out some Necros, so that way he could expand quickly and get all these geothermals and everything, but he does have a Valkyrie factory going, and he does have a transport coming out. The Valkyrie Mark II. And so yes, he is planning to just pyro drop on the other side of the map. And I happen to realize that my stream delay is not going to be enough for this tournament. I'm going to have to increase it to several minutes probably. And that's fine. That's a-okay. But if someone were to, oh, I don't know, be watching the stream and playing at the same time, that could be bad. But this Valkyrie's is going to be done reasonably soon. It's being slowed down by the fact that he is putting up more solar collectors, which he doesn't really need at this point. What he really needs is metal extractors. He should be putting up metal extractors and reclaiming the trees with necros, in my opinion. But on the other hand, see, that would allow him to get this Valkyrie out faster, allow him to make this drop faster, and hopefully, by the time he got there, there wouldn't be really anything to stop it. However, this command center is going to do a bit of a number on these bots. And the Valkyrie's here. Looks like it's going to go pick up, all these are pyros, so picks up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did not actually count the full number of pyros in there, but long story short, there's quite a few. And so here we go. Looks like he's going to get another factory up. He's going to take 2 Valkyries full of pyros. Hopefully he's not waiting too long on this. In the meantime, there's an Excalibur. And as we see here, it's got a pretty long range. It can definitely do shore bombardment. And it's got torpedoes, it's got long cannons, it's got machine guns, it's got missiles. Excalibur, good unit. Plus, it's got radar, as you can see from this big green circle. So pretty soon he's going to have a real good idea of what's going on, and I feel as though Polar may have waited far too long to do this Valkyrie drop. Maybe not, but I believe... Okay, to me it looks like he's going for overwhelming, which could work or whatnot, but I think he's going to end up taking so long that it will not have been worth it. Now, the good news is that this ship just grounded itself. Okay, that's probably not supposed to happen, one would assume. He is trying to get it to fire at that radar turret, and I'm guessing the radar turret is probably out of range. So these Valkyries are on the way to drop off their cargo. Let's follow them and see what happens. Okay. Now, I didn't do a full count of the amount of pyros that are coming out of them. Looks like they're just flooding out of there. Okay, looks like we've got 13 pyros. And they're still just sitting there. Okay. Now they're moving out. Now, this will do some good damage, but he's got to keep them separated, which he is not doing at all. He's not using line moves at all. He's just moving them to single points. He's going to lose multiples at a time if he doesn't stop using the single point moves. And so it looks as though Polar may actually be able to put some hurt on this command center. In fact, he might even be able to kill it. And if so, that would be a quick end to this game. But it doesn't look like DosBoss is doing anything to try to stop this. I mean, there's no way this should have worked. But it looks like it's going to, and it looks like Polar's going to pull off this game. Okay. Well, that's that. Congratulations to Polar. Valkyrie top is good. Okay. Okay, and so, well, well, we're getting the next match underway here pretty soonly. Alright. Looks like it's going to be on Delta Siege Island. Big symmetrical island with very King of the Hill style starts, but my guess is that roughly 50% of the people playing are going to be starting in the water. Okay, and here we go. Get this game underway. Okay, so getting this very much underway, and I'm actually I've turned the stream on my phone. Just so this way I can see frame rate and all kinds of other stuff like that.
Getting this.
Looks like one of the players is having a little bit of trouble getting going, but nope, he also managed to get in. Okay. Okay, this guy pretty much keeps joining and leaving. Okay. So we've got DosBoss in the DosBoss in the bottom, spawning as the teal, and Polar in the top as the blue. Okay, and it looks like we're going to get vehicles out of DosBoss. And not a whole lot's going on right now. We've gotten K-bots out of Polar, and he's going to be going up against the vehicles of DosBoss. Now DosBoss is going ahead and putting out Stumpies, which should deal with Sprinters pretty easily. However, the Sprinters will be really freaking annoying because the low mobility of these tanks is really going to cause some problems for DosBoss. Because basically Polar is going to come from this area and from behind, And so it's basically going to be really annoying for him to deal with. So we'll see how this goes. Looks like we're getting a second vehicle factory out of DosBoss. So this will actually probably help. He does need to get some Jeffies out so he can deal with some fast respawns. Still only one factory out of Polar. And it looks like he's getting his metal going. He's got all kinds of eco queued up. And then he's going to get some air. Now this Sprinterus is going to show its face, so now he knows he's going up against K-bots. Interestingly enough, Polar still has no idea what he's going up against. He's going to find out pretty quickly, though. And DosBoss is using line moves, so this is very important. Especially when you're dealing with any kind of splash damage. Now, Polar still doesn't have a clue what he's up against, so he'll find out pretty soon, especially as soon as he moves in. But I'm quite sure that he was not able to see these tanks yet. DosBoss is accessing. Okay. So I believe DosBoss is 3 and Polar is 2. Alright. Okay, Polar is desperately in need of metal, but he's got tons of production going on. DosBoss should be outmatching him, but his vehicles are not positioned at all. So once these all get up to the front line, if Polar pushes in, DosBoss is just going to be overwhelmed pretty much immediately, as far as I can tell. And it looks like Polar is probably going to be getting up some bombers, I would guess. Nope, some fighters. Okay. And DosBoss is getting some of his economy up. Yeah, okay, he's completing a lot of it, but he's still pretty metal starved. Unfortunately, he doesn't have his tanks up to the front line. He is putting them up there, and he's also kind of mono battling. Whereas Polar has Sprinters, only a couple, and a bunch of storms. So the Sprinters should buffer, but he's pushing the Sprinters up too quickly. And so as a result, the Sprinters are going to take all the fire, are not going to distract any of the fire away from these storms. Yeah. And also, Polar is bunching up his units again. He's going to lose them 3 and 4 at a time. And there, he's using some line moves now. No, he's not. But on the other hand, thankfully for him, Polar does have the numbers advantage, and so he's going to be able to just back up and take care of these stumpies. But the stumpies are doing a good job of maneuvering, so they're not dying off too quickly. However, they are kind of showing their soft underbelly to the storms, and yeah, he's going to lose all of them. However, he has enough backup here, and he's producing them fast enough to be able to stave off this attack. However, if Polar would use control line moves so that way all his army moves at the same time, at the same speed, that would do him a world of good. Now Polar does have a Vash coming in here. Gonna do some damage to these tanks. It does take a little bit of damage from anti-air, not much though. Unfortunately, DosBoss isn't really doing much at this point. He's thinking about it, but he's not really doing much, so he needs to get up some constructors. And it looks like we've got a bit of a standoff, but DosBoss does not have his tanks lined up, and he's very vulnerable right now. However, that said, Polar does not have enough to move in here. If he takes this fight, he will lose. That's just way too many tanks. Because DosBoss is also operating on 2 factories, whereas Polar is mainly only working on 1. But he is getting another Vash up, and that should help. At the same time, DosBoss is putting up another missile turret, and that's going to really kind of push off any anti-air. But at the same time, he's building it inside his base, so his units pretty much have to stick within this turret range. And it looks like Polar's going to go for it. Not using line moves, just moving in on a single point. His units are going to bunch up and they're going to get destroyed in record time. This is going to be a bloodbath. Well, DosBoss was just kind of sitting back and taking it, but now he's moving his tanks in. And he's doing a fairly good job in maneuvering them. And Polar is focusing fire on some of these tanks to some degree, but once again, Polar may pull out ahead a little bit in this, but he's got to stop bunching up his units because he's taking so much splash damage. Can't be doing this. He does have reinforcements coming in from the back, and so he's going to manage to pull it out. Once again, DosBoss has a lot of production going back there. He doesn't have them lined up. Okay, he's going to lose one of his Vashes right off the bat. Going to lose 2 more, it looks like. Does some damage, but not really that much. But DosBoss has been doing a reasonably decent job of commanding his tanks around, but not particularly stellar. Now, Polar is using line moves sometimes, but the problem is that when he moves in for an attack, he keeps using a single point, which causes all his units to bunch up, so he's taking a lot of extra damage that he does not need to take. And he takes it directly in the face. Okay. And so we've got DosBoss with a bunch of stumpies. How many does he have here? Looks like he's got 26 stumpies to 9 thuds and 10 storms. Now, I believe that Polar does have the superior army composition. With these tanks clumped up like this, they'll just raffle stomp them, more or less. If DosBoss spreads out his tanks, somewhat like that or whatnot, he won't have to deal with splash damage, and he can probably move in. Now, the battle line for Polar can be longer, assuming he does not just move in his units. And if he spreads out his battle line, then these tanks will not be able to deal with it because they'll essentially be getting flanked. And they'll be pushed in right here. Especially these tanks being clumped up like this, I cannot stress how bad that is. You do not want to have this happening. Now, I should mention that Polar is also dramatically increasing his economy. His economy is just booming right now. He's got plenty of energy production. He's not really putting forth the factory production, mainly because he's spending everything he has on economy right now. But when he stops investing so heavily in economy and starts turning that towards units, it is going to be very, very bad for him. And DosBoss finally built his first radar and says, oh, radar's pretty good. Well, okay then. Now he is sending out a force of tanks. I don't see why Polar would let this go. Yeah, and these are going to get shelled from far away. I don't understand what the purpose of this is, unless just to flank. Polar hasn't reacted at all. He's just letting his units sit there and take it. Oh, this is bad for Polar. He is coming out on the losing end of this. Now, if DosBoss had brought up his other tanks to join in this fight, then this would be catastrophic for Polar. But Polar's got so much reinforcements coming in that DosBoss is going to end up losing this. It was a good engagement. I would have expected Polar to react more fluidly, but he's getting his battle line set up further. DosBoss he's got his lines going, but it's going to be too much. Polar's just going to steamroll over him. And, yep, that's pretty much where it's going. It's unfortunate because DosBoss should not have lost that fight. DosBoss should have overwhelmingly won that battle because Polar did not react. And he took tons of damage as a result, but DosBoss left an entire half of his army just at home not doing anything. And so it looks like this is pretty much going to end up being GG. There's very little to nothing left. Polar just holding off again. He could just roll in here and raffle stomp everything, but DosBoss still making nothing but stumpies. He is going to try to put a sentinel up here to help in the final push, but Polar's just going to roll over on top of him. Now, Polar does have a bit of a bad rally point on all of his units. He's not rallying them to the front lines. And so they are kind of just hanging back and not pushing forward like they should. Now, if some Necros were to get in here and start resurrecting this army, then that would be insanely bad for DosBoss. But DosBoss is already in an extremely bad situation. He is trying to help himself out with these turrets. Now the good news is that these turrets more or less range, outer maximum range, more or less matches up with his command center. So he's going to have the benefit of when tanks get in range of these turrets, they will also be in range of the missile turrets, the sentinels, and the command center, more or less all at the same time. So he might be able to hold off a reasonably decent sized push. We are seeing the first bit of air coming out of DosBoss. He does a bombing run on Polar's units, however, looks like he's got one more in him before he has to hang it up. There you go. Doing it from the side there, he maximizes his damage output. Okay. Now with some choice bombing, there's a good chance that DosBoss could kind of pull this out a little bit. But he's got to bomb from the side. He has to bomb like this. He can't bomb straight on. Allow me to be John Madden for a moment. Okay. He's going to come in for another bombing run. It looks like he's going to go kind of straight in again. Or, no. Oh, he's taking tons of damage to the face on his forward stumpies. And I don't really know what that was. Maybe he just wanted to see what he was dealing with before he attacked. Oh, wow. That bombing run did a good amount of damage. He's got one more left in him. Now, if he'd come from the side... Oh, this has the potential to be pretty devastating. Okay, Polar's going for it. And he's not being rebuffed. Oh no. These sentinels can't fire. There's not enough energy. Oh, that sucks. So the sentinels go down without putting up any fight whatsoever. The stumpies get completely overrun, and DosBoss is 100% screwed. The bombing runs were a nice tack from DosBoss, but unfortunately, it's just not going to pan out for him. And Polar's moving in. He's going to put the killing blow in mere moments. Now these bombers are still doing some work for DosBoss, but it's not going to be enough. And Polar's just diving in on this. No reason not to. And DosBoss in 3, 2, 1, and he's dead. Alright. So that does leave Polar being the sole victor. Good game. Well played on both sides. Would have liked to see more expansion come out of DosBoss. Would have liked to see better unit control from Polar. But overall, excellent game. Congratulations.